A thief trained his dog to steal, and suddenly the dog became a millionaire. A man was walking through the mall when he noticed a well-dressed dog sitting patiently outside a jewelry store. The dog had a sign around its neck that read, "This dog is a millionaire." Intrigued, the man sat down next to the dog and asked how it made its fortune. "Well," the dog began, "it all started when my owner, a notorious thief, was planning his greatest heist yet. He wanted to steal the crown jewels from the Queen's palace, but he needed an accomplice, someone small enough to sneak into the palace undetected, nimble enough to navigate the tight security, and brave enough to face the Queen's ferocious guard dogs. That's when he decided to train me for the job. The man was skeptical, but the dog insisted it was true. My owner would bring home these little velvet pouches filled with jewels and have me bury them in the backyard. Then he'd blindfold me and we'd practice the heist. He'd be the guard dog and I'd have to sneak past him to get to the treasure. If I made it to the velvet pouch, I got a treat. It was the best game ever, and I learned the Queen's palace like the back of my paw." The man was amazed, but he couldn't help but feel sorry for the dog. "So what happened?" "Well, the night of the heist arrived and we were in position. My owner slipped inside the palace and I followed close behind. We found the velvet pouch, but just as my owner was about to grab it, one of the Queen's guard dogs, a huge black Labrador, came bounding over. My owner panicked and shoved me towards the pouch. "Get it, Fido," he yelled. But as I reached for the treasure, the black lab picked up my scent and began to bark furiously. My owner and I ran for our lives, and that was the end of our $1,000,000 heist. The dog sighed. "But you said you were a millionaire," the man exclaimed. The dog wagged its tail. "I am. After that botched heist, my owner went straight to prison, and when he got out, he was too old to scheme and I was too famous to sneak around. So we retired to this mall where I now live, out my days, telling people the story of the great jewel robbery while collecting donations for my favorite charity." The man was deeply moved by the dog's story, and even more by its generosity. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a handful of change. "Here," he said, "a small donation from a friend." The dog's eyes twinkled as it took the money. "Thanks, pal. Say, do you want to hear about the time I met a famous actress? Or maybe when I foiled an art heist single-pointedly?" And so the man sat down, and the dog began to yap, and they were friends forever.